This is Monday, Monday, July 24th. It is now 6:30 p.m. This is the opening of our normally scheduled meeting for Norton Conservation Commission. And as is our usual requirement, we will open with the preamble requiring remote meetings. So, Dan, you're on.
Pursuant to Governor Healy's March 29th, 2023 bill extending several COVID-era policies and programs by allowing virtual meetings to continue from March 31st, 2023 to March 31st, 2025, this meeting of the Norton Conservation Commission will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found at the end of this agenda. Members of the public attending this public hearing/meeting virtually will be allowed to make comments if they wish to do so during the portion of the hearing designated for public comment by raising their hand virtually or pressing *9 if participating by phone. No in-person attendance to members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the Norton Cable website, www.nortonmediacenter.org, an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting.
Don't start shit.
Thank you, Dan. Introducing members participating tonight, myself, Julian Kadish, who is chair. We have Elisa Carroza, vice chair, Mark Fernandez, and Dan Pearson. We also have John Thomas, our director, and Megan Harrop, our assistant. I'm assuming everybody got sworn in as required. Is that right, Mark? Okay. So we do have a quorum. We're hoping for maybe one more. So I see Ron on the board. Is that?
It looks like Ron's here tonight.
All right, so we have now 5 members. So that would be Ron O'Reilly joining us as well. So our first item on the agenda is, I don't have a complete file number, but it's another notice of intent for 6 Mary Jane Road with Mark Mariano listed as the representative of the applicant, and it concerns the application for a single-family dwelling construction. Mark, I think you're up.
Good evening, everyone. Can everyone hear me okay?
We can.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, so good evening, Commission. My name is Mark Mariano from Oak Hill Engineering. Tonight I'm representing myself for our future home at 6 Mary Jo Road. The parcel that we own is a 28-acre parcel. It was subdivided from a larger parcel, which used to be 83 East Hodges Road in 2015. The developer developed Mary Jo Road, which is a private way here, and there was 4 homes built on that. The original home is 83 East Hodges, which is found just to the north. So our site is got quite a bit of wetlands. We have about 13 acres of actual upland. The remaining is wetlands. This lot was formerly used for as part of 83 East Hodges for I believe there was a construction operation that went out of here before. Currently on the property.
Mark, if you want to share your screen, you can show your screen. I gave you permissions.
Sorry, guys. I'm pointing at things and going through my sequence, and no one's seeing it. I can start over.
That's
You're
okay.
just visualizing, that's all.
That's it.
You gave us
Right.
the background of context, so that's fine.
So, briefly, frontage is found here on East Hodges. This is 83, 83, East Hodges, well, which is now known as 5 Mary Jo Road. Mary Jo comes off at East Hodges, is right here. This was developed, split up into 4 lots. This was the remaining lot left over. Zooming in here, there's an existing metal building found on the property that is an 80 by 40 metal building. And the rest of it has just been, cleared and kind of been disturbed since the previous owner owned it. There's a pond right here that was likely dug for the benefit of gravel removal. And what I'm proposing is to build our single family home right here in the center of the lot. And trying to do some restoration work on this property and clean it up a little bit. Around the property, so we access through Mary Jo down the existing driveway that goes into 5 Mary Jo. And this has been established. This is an already pre-existing roadway. The roadway meets the standards that are set forth for the driveway requirement. We did submit with planning, so that hearing is forthcoming as well. Currently, we have a lot of BBW surrounding the property, and this was delineated. And actually, we have the original CAD from when they did an ANRAD back in 15, and it pretty much closely matched everything that they had at that time. What we are proposing is no additional clearing. Oh, sorry. So we are found, this purple line right here is the edge of a resource area, which is the considered endangered species zone within that area. We are not proposing to do any further taking on this site. What we are proposing is to allow the buffer zone to revegetate, delineate with proper signage, and we'd also like to remove. There's been a lot of earth movement on this site, so we'd like to remove some of this stockpiling and dirt that is found within some of these buffer zones, clean it up, and allow it to revegetate. So right around the building, going from east to west, we have our turtle protection fencing around the site because we intend to work within this area. We want to remove this stockpile. We want to remove some of these rocks. There's some RCP pipe in here that was probably dumped here for drainage, some Jersey barriers. We're going to get rid of those. There were existing wetland signs here. It must have been done by a previous filing when they were doing some other cleanup work here. We're probably going to either replace them in some cases or just install new, as you can see. This building is cold storage, and we just like to reuse the building in the end for that same use. We're making our way west. Right now, there's a lot of sand that's right here. It's just vegetated. It's non-vegetated because it's just sand at this point. So we're giving back the 25-foot buffer around this wetlands here. And in doing so, because we are in a turtle protection zone, we're just allowing that to become a turtle nesting area in the event that turtles are allowed to get in there. My house, the proposed building, driveway, septic system, pool, and any additional items on site, we have sited outside the 100-foot buffer. The only thing that's really within the 100-foot buffer here is my well, and the reason is to serve the house and if we want to bring water out to the garage too. The reason I orientated the house in this manner is we're within 30 degrees of south, so we can get some good passive solar. Plus, I kind of want this to revegetate so I don't see the garage from my house. So, we would come down, come into the driveway that way. Couple features of what we're doing here. We position this right outside the 100-foot buffer. So, we'll have some driveway around both sides. I'll have a little garage under here, and this will be our main port to enter right there. Other than that, most of the other things on the site is removing of the stockpile, allowing it to revegetate, cleaning up these stockpiles that have just been pushed into the woods, and reestablishing the habitat at the 25-foot buffer zone. We can go through. This is more of a zoom in, but kind of just showing the close up of the area. We are providing some, we're providing stormwater mitigation, so we're collecting all the water that's running on the roof. This is going into a stormwater infiltrator chamber system, and then on this area, because the whole site is just sand, we're just going to create a little bit lower depression, allow it to infiltrate into the ground right there in a vegetated infiltration basin. Now, this being the big project, a lot of this will take some time and money. So, but what we're proposing here is what we really like to see the final product in the end.
All right, open for a couple of questions.
I just have a quick question. Mark, you mentioned that there are 13 acres of upland.
Yeah.
And I wonder if, and you said the remainder is wetland. Just as long as we have the one figure, we might as well, if you have it handy, do you have how much that wetland is in acreage?
Yeah, so 28.82 minus 13, looking at 15. 15 plus.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Is this on this site alone, or you're
wetland.
saying the house lot is some 30 acres?
Yeah, our house lot is 28.82 acres.
I see. Okay. But a lot of that upland is not accessible, or?
No. What you see here is the upland that's usable. Some of the wetlands is this tail right here.
I see.
So, Mark, can we look at the garage for a second? I noticed there's no pavement leading to it. Do you intend to pave anything?
What I'm showing here is a little bit of pavement. There's existing pavement around the building that's pretty broken up, needs to kind of just get replaced. This represents about 25 feet right outside the building. I just wanted an area of the point to which I could pull a vehicle on, just not on the gravel all the time.
Okay, so, but you're not proposing any pavement from the paved
Not
driveway?
making the connection, not at this point.
Okay. If you can zoom in on the house for a second, I don't see any delineation of what's going to be lawn.
So I know this portion will definitely be lawn.
Right.
We're probably looking at maybe 10 feet outside of this area. I mean, I really don't want to spend my whole days mowing this massive yard. So
Right. So that's at your discretion. I would just want to see the extent of lawn. So maybe you want to put like a stipple pattern or something on it, because when John Thomas goes out to make sure, at the end, when we issue a COC, we have to know what was proposed to be stabilized by lawn versus, left natural versus, whatever else out there. And then it's just hard to tell what's going to be. It's just not labeled.
no, I have not labeled that. I was
Okay. And
I
then
got to think about that.
the NESHAP line, the purple line.
Yep.
Which side, is it the west side that's in the polygon or the east?
Sorry, it would be on the east side.
Yeah, so I would
So
take
I can
that
delineate
arrow
that.
and I would put the arrow on the other side, and then I would put another arrow pointing to the east, like it's interior on the inside. Because right now it looks like it's the opposite to me. Well, it just needs to be clearer, that's all.
Yeah, I didn't want to shade the whole area because it
Right,
would
right.
be a little,
So,
but I
just-
can say that, Neshap is found to the east of this.
yeah, and then
line.
just put another arrow off to the east. So we know it's on that side. That's all. And then is this outside of the flood zone?
Yes,
So there's no 100-year flood.
no 100-year flood.
Okay. Okay. Those are the other only comments I had.
All right, so any other questions or comments from anyone, not just members of the commission?
Mark, now that I think about it, after you went over kind of the acreage of the wetlands and whatnot, is there any idea for you to want to do a conservation restriction on this parcel potentially? Just for your own net benefit. To think about it that way. For instance, you can potentially cut back on the taxes too with the assessors and the
It
town.
is something that I've thought about.
Mhm.
I need to get through permitting. I need to get my mortgage.
Yeah,
And
that's
then I
fine.
really got to figure out that. But
Yeah.
there's being 28 acres is, that is one of the items. 'Cause I
So-
am paying tax on.
Right.
15 of nothing.
So just to keep in the back of your mind, obviously, when you do these conservation restrictions, they like to have things contiguous. So if you can wrap in potentially, bulk of the wetlands, some upland area with sensitivity for turtle habitat, things of that nature, keep that in the back of your mind when you go about it, with kind of designing that footprint of that area that you'd want to submit.
I do have a discontinuation just because of the driveway.
Right. And for instance, you could have some sort of easement there and it could be some sort of discontinuation. But what I'm saying is, it's, what is that? 40 feet, if that?
Yep.
I think you could potentially show it going across with that easement potentially and position
Okay.
it that way.
Okay.
All right, any further questions from anyone? So, it's my impression, and John, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that pretty much everything we need for putting together an order of conditions has been presented. What we don't have is a DEP number, unless that has come through.
I'd have to double check with Megan on that one.
I haven't received a DEP number. The other thing too is we need the information back from the shop.
All right, well, that being the case, we kind of need to continue until we have a number.
Exactly. Yep.
But it sounds like if the number comes through, it's possible that we would have an order of conditions next time. Is that possible, John?
Yeah, I'll have a order of conditions drafted up for revision. For review by the board at the next meeting.
All right, if there are no further questions, I think we can consider a motion to continue this hearing until August 14th.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to continue file 250 to be decided to the August 14th meeting of the commission.
Second.
We have a motion made by Dan and seconded by Lisa. Roll call vote, beginning with Mark and Dan. Aye.
Aye.
And Lisa and Ron.
Aye.
Looks like, Ron, you gave an aye, and I'll throw in another aye, so the motion carries. If everything is in order, Mark, I don't know if you really need to attend the next meeting, but you can check with our director, John.
We'll do.
Yeah, I think if you can just update the plan to show the lawn areas and get that in the file.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Mark, like we discussed, getting the revisions to the plans, and then we should be good for the next meeting.
All right.
Before we go on, may I just confirm that Tama is not here this evening?
She is not here this evening.
Okay, thank you.
All right, well, I think we can close out the screen share and go on to our next hearing, which is a continued public hearing, which is a NRAD for 1 Dean Street for Rob Salberti. Do we have a representative of that project?
Good evening,
Go ahead, identify yourself,
Rob Celebrity.
and maybe we can screen share and go over the project, the ANRAD.
We did that last week, and then you didn't have a quorum, so I guess,
Yeah, give me 1
John, you
second.
could follow up.
Yeah, 1 sec. So let me just get the plan.
So I remember going over this, and everything was completely in order as far as all of the both wetland and question of a vernal pool. That was completed then.
So that was one of the things that I suggested to the commission was just with that vernal pool, prior to the filing of a potential notice of intent, to have that screened again and reviewed for certifiable status. So that's the only condition that I would put in there. Other than that, I think the wetland flags that were replaced and I guess reviewed a couple times by myself, those were all kind of ironed out by myself and the applicant. So we were able to come to an agreement. If we all recall this plan that I have on my screen here. Can everyone see that?
We can.
Yeah, so the main changes, just for the record, was this limit of BVW here. This was added to the plan. There was an isolated wetland that was identified here. That was added to the plan, and some other adjustments to the flags to the rear were added in light of my review. So from what I can note to the commission is that I am comfortable with the resource areas as they're demarcated on this plan that is provided by Mr. Silberti. So if the commission feels comfortable, I do not think that would be an issue with issuing closing this hearing.
All right, and just for clarity, you have the flags, and then the red long dash 2 short dashes. That designates the 100-foot buffer, or
So the green lines on this plan designate the 100-foot buffer. The red lines designate the 25-foot buffer, and that is consistent with our policy and also the Wetlands Protection Act.
John, is there any reason to believe the isolated, the IVW is ILSF or?
So they did a calculation for that and what came to a confirmation based on the information that I gave them on the procedures and the information that they provided back. The IVW did not meet the ILSF criteria.
Okay. Thanks.
all right? Any further questions or comments on this hearing? And if not, it sounds like we have everything to consider a motion to close.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for file 250-1126.
Motion made by Lisa, seconded by?
Second.
I think Mark got the second by a couple of milliseconds. So second, Lisa made the motion, Mark made the second. Roll call vote, beginning with Dan and Mark.
Aye.
Aye.
And Ron and Lisa.
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye, so the motion carries. Hearing for file number 250-1126 is closed, and we'll issue an ANRAD next time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is file number 250-1128 concerning 36 Dean Street, a Goose Brook Garage and Recycle LLC. And I can't recall where we were last time. I don't know if we had a presenter or not, but do we have a representative of the applicant this time around?
It does not appear we do. I don't know if anyone on the call is a representative of this project.
And as I recall, this was really required because of concerns of both DEP and other groups. And I guess the question is, I mean, from what you implied, you were kind of okay with what was presented. And can we act without an applicant going over the proposed work, or?
I mean, they've submitted something to us, so we have the ability, but for instance, you know, I think it's always best for an applicant to be on the call. I mean, I can definitely share the project with the commission in their absence to kind of give an overview.
Had you discussed this with
Yes, I have discussed this with the representative, and I don't know if he doesn't know how to use the Zoom application, but I have tried to provide him all the necessary information to be on the call.
Anybody have a proposed approach? You're right. We usually have an applicant. I mean, a representative that can just go over things, and we can kind of nudge it along as needed. But Zoom provides a complication.
So, John, this was open the last hearing, right?
That's correct.
And so, was it presented during the last hearing? Or
It
no?
was. It was not. It was continued.
Because we thought they were going to show up this time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I would suggest that we hear it, we see what's going on, and then if we have any questions, you can maybe lob them back to the applicant.
Okay. So what I will do is I will share my screen on their behalf and kind of give my best representation of what the project entails.
We have faith in you.
I'm glad. All right, so the project is located off of Dean Street. I don't know if anyone's ever driven by near John Scott Boulevard heading north, but there's a Goosebrook Garage that's on the right, and this is a junkyard facility. And as part of, I guess this has been in the procedures for the last 5 years with DEP and the Board of Health. It's my understanding that the septic system that's on site serving this garage facility has a restroom, but it has a failed septic system. So it is an emergency repair. So it would potentially be exempt from the riverfront criteria, but they filed anyway because what they need to do is they need to take down some trees to install a spill containment system. Because what they do here is they decommission and disassemble oil tanks. And to prevent that and to be in compliance with all of the state's criteria, they need to have some sort of safeguards in place. So with that said, that's why they have this pad here, which is going to actually serve as the location where they're going to be doing all their activity. And unfortunately, a lot of this work that they've done within this area was prior to the Rivers Protection Act and also the Wetlands Protection Act. So there's a lot of areas that have been previously disturbed or degraded. And this is actually an area that actually has reestablished trees that were previously not here back in the 1960s, 1950s. So that's kind of the situation that's going in front of them now. DEP has selected this area being the best location potentially because of the close proximity to their garage facility, which is where they work out of. All the other areas on site are cluttered, I guess that's a nice way of saying it, with material and debris. So this would be potentially the best area to serve for the actual purpose and also the, I guess, efficiency for getting all these oil tanks decommissioned and basically chopped up and removed from the site. They have quite a bit out there. They've removed some, but they could use an area where they can actually do this without having any sort of leaks or contamination going into the ground.
So it looks like this site is fairly elevated compared to the brook itself.
It is.
I mean, I can't read I don't know, are they 2 foot, 5 foot elevations, or I can't.
The contours
Well,
are,
can you zoom in, please?
yes, I will do my best to zoom in.
Thank you.
I'd have to download it. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second.
Yep.
All right. Let me try to reshare there.
But you visited the site.
Yes, I have been out there twice. Once with the state, and then once with the for the purpose of this application.
And they show good faith to do their procedure without contaminating the surrounding areas.
They have a very good understanding of what needs to be done, especially knowing conservation, DEP, and Board of Health requirements. So they are willing to do whatever needs to be done to meet compliance standards. And as part of this, they're going to be in line. And I think based on my discussions with the landowner, he just wants to have this all done so he can continue doing the work that he enjoys doing.
So it looks like they put a little depression in there, where they're actually doing this assembly work.
Sorry, you broken up there. Say again.
Well, it looks like the contours are consistent with a little depression where that pad is, so that
Yeah.
things can't flow by natural flow over land. They just
Yeah,
stay.
that was one of their thoughts too, because the area does kind of dip towards that area. So it in the event that there was a washout or something like that, it would hopefully all diverge and converge at that low point.
But these are empty tanks, and so it's not like they're dealing with a large amount of liquid.
They aren't, but per DEP's requirements, they have to have the safeguards in place to do this work.
Yeah. Well, are there questions that we need more details about or do we have enough information to generate an order of conditions?
I mean, I know that we received a DEP number for this, correct, Megan?
Yeah, I think we had a number.
Yes.
So, yep.
John, I have a few questions. Is there any chance of restoration after tree removal? I mean, I assume they're gonna clear, grub, stump, they're getting rid of everything there in that 2,500 square foot area. So once they remove these tanks, is there any, oh, it's outside of the buffer.
But it's in the river. It's in the riverfront area.
So is there any opportunity to replant some trees there?
In that area,
Yeah.
they're going to have to relocate some things. I think that I will definitely want to see some sort of enhancement. I can definitely condition it to be some sort of, replanting initiative at, I guess, prior to pre-construction meeting to have a plan in place for something like that.
But this area in the buffer where the bank is fairly steep and going down, I'm assuming that's all vegetated. Is that correct?
So the area that you see the edge of woods is all vegetated, and it's revegetated from the 1960s, and this was all cleared up to that point. So they let this area go, and right now it's currently white pine dominated forest.
I mean, typically we would be looking for a restoration plan along with the notice of intent. Or we can just condition it and ask them to provide a restoration plan prior to start of construction. The other comment I have is, I mean, this is at the top of the hill. I'm not so concerned about if we're going north up the page, the west, but the area to the east there, it's like there's a cesspool. So what's the ground cover over the cesspool?
Right here,
Yeah, I'm just concerned about washout there, any sediment, from that stripped area running down that side, potentially into the river.
right now, that area is covered with refuse and trailers.
Okay. I would ask that they just put a limit of sediment control somewhere down there, maybe at the tree line. Just a small stretch there. And then the last question I had is where's the access from?
So the access is from here. I can actually get the other plan to show you.
While we're doing that, Lisa, what is it you said you just wanted for the area that's on the east? That's
Sediment
covered
control.
with,
Sediment control.
oh, thank you.
Yep.
Can everyone see this plan here?
Oh, can.
So access is off of Dean Street, and there's a gravel road, which is gated right here, but it's a long stretch that comes all the way down here to get to the area where the garage is way out back,
So I would guess that's about 1,000 feet. Is that your,
plus or minus. Yeah.
okay.
All right, so they don't have to do anything. Is that a crossing or is that just just wetlands or equalizer pipe? I can't see what's down there.
This there's got to be some sort of pipe down here. I didn't take a look at it, but this
Mhm.
roadway, I've taken a look at the aerials. This roadway has been in here probably since the 1940s.
Okay.
So just to kind of give you a sense of how durable it potentially is.
Okay. All right, that's all I had. It's just going to be the replanting plan, whether we ask them for it now or we just condition it and say prior to the start of construction.
Yeah, I'm a little skeptical about the need for that plan because you're in the middle of a treed area and the stuff just grows in so fast in that area. And you're actually not in the conventional 100-foot buffer. So
Right. Okay. So let's take it a step further. So they're going to take those trees down. They're going to remove the tanks. They're not going to put trees back. What's the final ground cover? So we're always looking for at the end of a project. How is the area going to be stabilized? So you can't just have no note on it. How does the contractor know what to put in that area post tree removal? So at a minimum, we got to show erosion control, permanent stabilization,
Mhm.
if we don't want trees. So.
But John, is this kind of a forever project that they'll always be disassembling tanks in that spot?
I mean, I can't tell you from the landowner's perspective as to kind of what their intention is for the long term. I just know for the short term, they've been requested to put this in to do the work that's needed to clean up the site. So, as part of that, this may be something that could be removed in the future, or, it could be something they're putting a lot of effort into doing this. So I don't know if they plan on continuing to do this, for years to come. But I think, having a condition in there is that if this area is going to be, a permanent area, that they should have it stabilized. I mean, that's a requirement anyway, to have any sort of exposed topsoil be stabilized to meet all the performance standards of our laws.
So these tanks are just being cleared off of the existing stored debris on the property, or do they have
So they have a bunch of tanks, and other kind of waste products that they need to decommission and dispose of. As part of that, what they're going to do is they're going to bring them to this location and dispose of them properly, so that way they meet the state standards for decommissioning, and that way they can get their operations going, because the state has refused to let them do the work without having this in.
Okay, so it's not necessarily an ongoing business to accept, I'm assuming these are home heating oil tanks and
That's
things like
correct.
that.
Yes, that's correct.
And they don't necessarily want to accept them for indefinite period of time.
Correct.
Maybe we can just add a condition, John Thomas, that asks for a stabilization plan, permanent or temporary.
I think
That's applicable.
I think that's something we can condition. No problem.
Okay.
All right, so if everybody's happy, or at least willing to accept this presentation without the applicant here being here to answer questions, I mean, John, it's kind of on you because
I have to
you're
call them tomorrow and let them know. Yes.
So, in that being the case, should we continue and with the idea that if everything is all set, we can?
I say we continue to the next meeting. And for instance, if they would like to come to the meeting and discuss, it has to be over Zoom. And if they'd like to, provide any sort of feedback towards the commission's response or discussion tonight, then, they're more than happy to do so. And if they're comfortable with it, then, I'll have an order of conditions ready to go that evening in case the commission wants to have a discussion about it.
Yeah, and I think if the owner, you can talk with whoever is the point person for this project. I'm sure they have plenty of friends that are totally comfortable with bringing something up on Zoom that they can, just help them do it to enter the meeting. So that being the case, unless there are further questions or discussion, we can consider a motion for continuation of the hearing for file number 250-1128 until
August 14th.
August 14th.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
Motion made by Lisa, seconded by Dan. Roll call vote. Dan and Mark, yea or nay?
aye.
Aye.
Ron and Lisa?
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye, the motion carries. Our next items on the agenda are, item A, is a request for an amended order of conditions for, 250-1072, 44 Bay Road.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. My name is Bill Buckley from Bay Colony Group, and I'm here representing the applicant, Bill Sarro, who's also on the call. And as you just stated, we're here to request the commission to issue a modification to an existing order of conditions at 44 Bay Road. So 44 Bay Road is it's an 11,400 square foot lot located on the banks of what a kind of pond right across from the cemetery, which is on Bay Road as well. It contains a 2-story house, and the lot itself pretty much lies completely within the zone AE, and it's so small that approximately 80% of the lot is within the commission's 25-foot no disturb zone. So this project was originally filed back in January 2021, and the scope of the work was that Mr. Sarro was going to and did reconstruct the house. He gutted it, he left the house standing, but he gutted the inside of the house, took the decks off the back, which were falling off anyways, rebuilt those. At the time, it was just a gravel driveway. He put in a driveway that consists of pervious pavers and then additional landscaping around the edge of the lake, which we worked with the agent at that time to come up with a plan. So this is the plan right here. It was just put up. On your left is a larger scale plan that shows the entire lot that was presented at the time. And I can't point it out, but maybe John, you can point out the location of the dock over here on the left. So this is what we're asking for the commission to consider this evening. So Mr. Sarro would like to put in a dock. It's a temporary dock that would go in and out with the seasons. It would not stay in year round. Right now it's a roll-in dock that has wheels on it, and the end is raised. If you go to the second sheet, John's pointing it out right here. We should give you a picture of it. You can also go onto the Home Depot website and see the same thing. So this is the dock. It has an aluminum frame. It has cedar panels on it. It would stretch about 16 feet out into the thing. They're 8-foot long decks. They're 4 foot wide. And then on the end would be an 8 by 8 foot patio, as you can kind of see there on that. And we'll go back to this. And you can zoom in on the right, John. Yep. So this is the location of the dock. It's hard to tell along the edge there, but along the entire edge of behind the rear of the property is a boulder wall. So there's a boulder wall exists. There's very little vegetation. There's some growing up in between it. So the dock will sit on it, or a panel will sit on the boulder wall, and it'll be anchored to that. And there is no BVW, so there's no alteration of that. And that's about it.
Well, I'll tell you, I have no problem with it. But, if you get some kind of a windstorm and rainstorm, unless that's lashed down or rolled out, it's going to become debris. But, that's just something you have to be careful of, because, those things bounce up and down so much that it takes a lot to hold them down. But that's what, to protect the investment, that's what the owner's going to have to do, is be mindful of that. So any other questions or comments about this?
Yeah, I have a few. Is this estimated a priority habitat? Or,
It is.
I think there was some rare mussels or something in Winnicott, or was that?
It is it does fall under priority habitat, and we have filed with National Heritage with this, and they've asked us to file separately, which is unusual because typically when you file the notice, you file with them. So we just found that out this afternoon. So we'll be having a discussion with them tomorrow on what exactly they want us to file.
Which portion of it is spotted? Where are those spuds going to be?
So the National Heritage maps show that the entire lake falls under it.
I'm sorry, the dock itself. Are there spuds? How is it anchored to the bottom? Is it spudded?
It sits on the bottom on wheels, and then so maybe we can go back to the other one. To the second page, John. Thank you.
Oh, so there's wheels and not spuds.
Yeah, so the wheels and then what goes on the right on the different supports, that would depend on, the height of those depends on the depth there, which is, Mr. Sarah thinks is around 6 feet or so at the end. So that portion would not be anchored in, but the rear, where it attaches to the shore would be.
So the narrow part is cantilevered over the boulders, and the wheels are going to be in the water, outboard.
Yes, and then in the spring you pull them out. The whole thing would get pulled out and go. I'm sorry, in the fall, the whole thing would get pulled out and put on the land during the winter season.
How do they pull something like this out?
But I guess with several guys.
Okay. So NESHAP asked you to, you had already provided them a copy of the notice of intent, but they asked for something else?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know what they've asked for because we just got an email this afternoon around, I don't know what time it was, 4 or 5 o'clock, saying that they want us to file a separate application, not just the notice of intent.
Okay. So just going back to plan views for a second, The yellow demarcation, are those boulders or landscaping? I barely look at those.
That's landscaping. That's some
That's
of the
landscaping. So-
landscaping that we propose,
Do
yes.
any of those need to be adjusted to accommodate this?
No, we place them in between them.
Okay. Okay. So, I mean, I would advise keeping this open until, NESHAP gets back any comments in case something changes.
All right, any,
You don't want to close and then have to reopen yet again. So,
all right, any, questions or comments? From anyone, audience included? And I guess my question is, I mean, in very calm water, I can see how this could be durable, but, you know, Winnicott is fairly large, and this is on the downwind side, is that correct?
It's on the east side, yes. So if you're getting what's the prevailing wind?
Well,
Southwest?
did you get enough? I mean, obviously, it's not big enough to get anything like swells, but I'll tell you, I'm skeptical of the durability of this kind of a structure with normal weather. But that's, I mean, I don't think that's something that the commission has to worry about. But I am assuming these things are not terribly cheap. But I don't know if it would even last a season, but it depends on what kind of weather we have.
so Julian, I think in the past, Jennifer has requested that a nameplate go on the dock in case it does end up in the drink somewhere downstream.
So we actually have created a new kind of procedure following that. I guess this is the first kind of test run for this, and we're going to be giving nameplates to all new docks, moorings, floating platforms, things of that nature. So this would be the first one that would be part of this initiative.
Okay.
But if it breaks loose, does it even float?
That's a good question. I don't know.
It's got a metal frame and a limited amount of wood on top.
It may float, but I don't think it's going to float far.
Well, okay. I
At
mean,
least you don't have to worry about Jaws.
But I mean, I think the owner has to be aware. I don't know what the data is on the structure being put in other water bodies, but it may not be all that durable. It doesn't look. I mean, I'm saying this from the point of view of living right on the shore of Norton Reservoir, and that structure wouldn't last a month there. But that's another discussion. The reservoir, I'm on the downwind side, and during a storm it gets kind of bumpy.
So for reference for the commission, I have a picture that I posted up that I took today of the location.
Yeah, but it all depends on the wind and the weather.
So I assume none of the vegetation needs to be cut down.
There is no vegetation to cut down. It's grass in the back, and then there's a rock wall there.
I'm seeing
So-
vegetation right on this plan.
Right, but I think that's the area that we're proposing it to go. And it's 4 feet wide.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that you don't need to trim any of the vegetation that's there. There's an overhanging, I can see it looks like a maple tree or something. Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so I think we can continue this pending outcome from the other hearing process. And our next meeting is August 14, but we don't necessarily have to schedule it for then. How long before the other, review process would be completed, do you think?
Well, we met with them. Well, I'm gonna call them tomorrow, find out what they want, and the statutory requirement is they must respond within 30 days.
Well, we can certainly schedule it for our next meeting and then continue, thereafter as needed.
Yeah, if we don't hear from National Heritage by then, I'll give John a call and we can just continue it.
So I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing for file DEP,
Actually, I need to correct that because this is a discussion about an amendment. This is not actually a hearing.
Well, did you
Well, they-
notify the butters?
Yes, they did. So it is
Okay,
actually
it's a hearing then.
yeah,
This
it's
is
an
a
amended request.
Ah. Okay, well, I guess I got misled by where it was on the agenda. So, okay, well, then your motion is,
Continue the, public hearing for 250-1072 to, August 14th.
motion by Lisa, seconded by?
Second.
Seconded by Ron. Roll call vote, starting with Dan and Mark.
Aye.
Aye. And Ron and Lisa.
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye, so, you'll be in touch with John as to whether we need to continue it next time around or not.
That's it. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
You bet.
Thank you, Bill.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
So our next item is a certificate of compliance for file number 50-0070172 West Main. And as we mentioned last time, this dates from maybe 40 years ago.
That's
Um,
correct.
And is being, as we reviewed last time, I think all the work is complete. Everybody's happy about it. And it was found in, I guess, title search pending change of ownership. And you have no problems. The only thing that held us back last time was lack of an adequate quorum to vote on this.
That's correct. Yes. The only thing that is, I guess, outstanding for this project is closing it out with a certificate of compliance.
So we can look for a motion unless there are questions. We have a motion made by Ron to issue the certificate of compliance and seconded by Lisa. Roll call vote, starting with Dan and Mark.
Aye.
Aye. Ron and Lisa.
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye, so motion carries. And then we have an extension of file number, I guess the existing, orders of conditions for file number 250-1023, lot 1, 0 Leonard Street. And there's nothing controversial about this, as I understand. Is that a fair summary? So they're requesting a 3-year, or we're recommending a 3-year extension?
3 years to finish lot 1 and lot 2. Yes.
All right, so it sounds like we're ready for a motion on that extension.
I believe, Lisa, you're going to have to recuse yourself on this one.
But we still have
We still have a quorum, yes.
excellent.
So moved.
We have a motion by Ron and seconded by?
Second.
Second.
Seconded by Mark for extension of, order of conditions for file number 250-1023. Roll call vote, beginning with, Dan and Mark.
Aye.
Aye. I'll throw in an aye and Ron.
Aye.
And we have an abstention for
So,
Lisa. And then, same, a ditto on extension for file number 250, order of conditions for file number 250-1024, which is lot 2, 0 Leonard Street. Looking for a motion.
Is this also for a 3-year extension, Mr. Chairman?
That's what's suggested, yes.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Dan and seconded by?
Second.
Seconded by Ron. Roll call vote, starting with Dan and Mark.
Aye.
Aye. And Ron?
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye, and Lisa, you'll register an abstention? All right. Next item on the agenda, so, I see Condyne is on the call, but you're all set, Condyne, is that right?
That's correct. They should be all set.
That is correct. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
You bet. All right, unless there's a further questions or discussion, our next items are draft minutes for June 26th and then subsequently July 10th. They were short meetings, particularly I think June 26th. So any questions? And if not, we can consider a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the draft meeting minutes of 6/26/23.
Yes, I can't remember what the attendance was. I know I was there both times, but you'll have to remember if you can vote on them, but we have a motion by Lisa and seconded by?
Second?
Seconded by Mark. So, Ron, I think you'll have to, I think you were not at those meetings, is that right?
That's right.
Okay, so, roll call vote, starting with Mark and Lisa. Aye.
Aye.
And Dan,
Aye.
and I'll throw in an aye, and Ron will be registered as an abstention, and then we have July 10th, also a short meeting. I think there was just one item, one hearing. Anybody want to make a motion?
I have to abstain. Was Ron here?
Ron was not here. So I guess we have to wait to, we just barely had I think Tama was the fourth on that one. So we'll have to wait till Tama is also present. So we will table that and report from staff.
July's been a pretty wet one, huh? Crazy.
Please. Yeah.
Crazy. I've been having to follow up with a lot of people for their SWIP reports and site compliance, so that's been fun. Besides that, I just want to let the commission know we have submitted, the town has submitted for the Narragansett Bay Estuary Program. We've submitted a grant application for improving access to Norton Reservoir and also improving wildlife habitat. So we have done that. We're hopeful. We've been using SERPID through the process, so we're hopeful to find something that could hopefully stick and provide the town a resource that is more permanent. And that's really all I have to report as of right now. We have a couple projects coming in. One of them was supposed to be on the agenda tonight, but it was incomplete. And we also have another one nearby on Reservoir Street that we've seen before, but they're going to be in front of the planning board with a definitive subdivision plan. So I'm sure they'll be in front of us for a notice of intent application as well. But those are then Wading River Estates. They're the other one that we're waiting on hearing back from them as well. So three large scale projects coming in.
I can't wait.
Then I hope everyone has taken a read through that code of conduct policy. So if you have any recommendations or any sort of wordsmithing changes you'd like to make, feel free to send them over.
Yeah, I have to get back to that. There was one section I couldn't really quite divine what it actually meant, and it sounded redundant. But I have to read it again and get back to you on that.
Yeah, they haven't given us a deadline for it, so I don't know when they want.
And to me, this seems kind of redundant. I mean, here we do ethics training, and do we need to read this document to internalize that we need to treat everybody with appropriate respect. I mean, it's just like, where's this coming from?
Well, Dan's
Well, I-
not gonna have to read it as a preamble to the public at every hearing. That's what really needs to happen. It's not for us.
Well, the preamble is required because there's existing legislation saying we have to have in-person open meetings.
No, I know. I'm kidding.
I mean, I think we could have a code of conduct policy attached with the meeting agenda. I think that would alleviate a lot of the concerns. That way we just say, look at the meeting agenda.
I assume every department is getting this code of conduct stuff.
No, it's just the Conservation Commission, Dan, just us.
It's
Yes.
just so wrong, you know.
Every department's getting this information, yes.
John, what's the 250-1092 billboard discussion?
This was a project that, they came back to us with vegetative management. I guess they're talking to the state and they're looking to, come in and have a discussion with the commission about, I guess, trimming or, cutting back vegetation. I sent them over an example of the, YMCA billboard management area, to use that as a guide to kind of send us over a plan as to kind of what they're going to do. Because any vegetative management area needs to be, demarcated in the field and also, permitted. So that way you can continue to do that sort of activity through the tenure of the billboard facility.
Where is this one?
This was on the Musto property next to the extended stay. I don't know if anyone recalls it off of South Washington.
Yeah, just don't follow the same path that the VC did for the Y, where they would just take the paper down and leave it in the drink, which is when they first came to us.
But this is an electronic billboard, isn't it?
Oh,
This is the electronic billboard, yes.
yes, okay, even better, we've come a long way from paper.
Yes,
Okay.
So they just leave photons all over the place.
yeah,
So, but John, that wasn't in their original application, there wasn't like a clearance envelope?
well, that's one of the things that I told them about, and I guess it wasn't part of their scope. So,
Oh, okay,
and that's when one of the things that they would come back to us for. I think one of those discussions that I have is, whether coming in front of the commission and seeing if that area meets the criteria of an amendment. And that was one of the things that they were supposed to come in and talk to us about. I didn't know if they were going to have a plan ready. I said, just have a plan prepared so you can discuss the envelope that you want to, the corridor, the maintenance corridor that you want to be basically, securing through this process.
well, do they have an O&M plan? Because maybe you attach it as a condition to that or something.
That's the unfortunate thing. I don't think they had an O&M plan as part of this because it wasn't going to trigger any sort of
Oh,
need for that.
yes,
If they did, I think that would be an easy roll through.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it's just, getting that kind of all buttoned up.
okay.
All right, so we're all set?
I think so. Glad to
Okay.
see you back, Ron.
Yes, I was gonna
Yes.
say, Ron,
Welcome back, Ron.
Thank you.
glad to see
Back,
you
Ron.
back. I hope things are going very well.
Glad to be back.
Excellent, excellent. And I think we're all set for signing off, yes?
So our next meeting is August 14th. Just make sure that if you're not going to be there to let us know so that way you can, because we had a quorum issue last time. So just make sure to let us know if you're not going to be at the meeting. All right,
Okay.
everybody, have a good one.
And I have
Thank
been lobbying for other applicants, so we're gonna be optimistic.
Excellent.
By the way, speaking of Ron, I'm sure everyone's seen his picture, but I'm just going to point it out. It's on 140. You can see him in his navy whites, close to the old library. His picture from the Navy.
I have seen it.
The
Dapper looking guy.
hometown heroes.
I will look for it.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay,
All right, take care, everyone.
I'm signing off.
Good night.